Hi, this is Andrew. Thanks for joining me. Today we'll be covering some of what Cisco expects you to know regarding wireless LANs. My expectation is that you know how to configure your wireless LAN at home. You can connect your router, configure things, view things, and generally poke around and understand what you're seeing. If you haven't done that, take a minute and do it. While you're at it, you should probably update your firmware. That's one of the things that an old firmware, that's what's actually exposed to the internet. Flaws can be what allow people to compromise your network. So just review things, make sure you know what you're doing. If you have a router that was provided by your ISP, you may not be able to update the firmware. You may have more limited options. The access may not work as well. And as a benefit, you're paying a good chunk of money each month. So do some research, and you might want to decide that owning your own router is better and or cheaper than getting a router from your ISP. So if you're comfortable with configuring your own router, you still might want to look at Packet Tracer 13110 just to see how Packet Tracer handles this simulated Wi-Fi configuration. It's one of those things that you'll see in this chapter with wireless LAN that it's really a little bit different working in Packet Tracer on these kinds of devices. They're really they're not as command line focused primarily, so you have these simulated graphical environments through a really bad web browser and multiple issues there. So if you have not done anything with your wireless router at home, if you're afraid that going in there you might damage a configuration and basically kill internet access to your house, or you never have time to do it when you have the ability to potentially reboot a router and shut off internet access to your house, that's definitely spend some time in Packet Tracer looking at that Packet Tracer 13110. This video is going to focus on 1327, which is configure a basic WLAN on the WLC, so wireless LAN on the wireless LAN controller. It's really not complicated, and it does step you through things, but it's, like I said, different from most of what we've done in Network Academy because it's really focused on the kind of graphical web interface. So that said, let's get started on the lab. And if you see here, we've got a lot going on, and a lot of it we don't really need to worry about right now. So we have a router with some interfaces, some virtual interfaces. We have a switch. We have an access point, and what we're really focused on here, the WLC. That is your wireless LAN controller, and we're going to actually, from that, we're actually going to configure the access point. So let's go through the lab or the Packet Tracer step by step. These are the objectives we're going to see, and we'll see the completion percentage hopefully go up. I will try to keep track of that and make sure that I'm covering everything that we're supposed to cover. So, background scenario. An organization is centralizing control of their wireless LAN by replacing their standalone access points with lightweight access points, LAP, and a wireless LAN controller. And the benefit here is you can configure all of your access points from a single interface, from a single place, and it is a lot cleaner, and you'll see as you expand, and that's something actually to consider for your home use also, is the potential to expand your access point footprint and maybe put access points outside or different floors. Wherever you have weak service, you can actually, obviously with Cisco gear you can do that, but there are less expensive options that will allow you to do a much more custom and configured wireless environment in your own house. And it is a really handy thing to be able to do, and frequently can be much more cost effective than a lot of the other options. So let's get started. You'll configure, well, let's keep going here. You'll be leading this project, want to become familiar with WLC and any potential challenges that may occur during the project. You will configure a WLC by adding a new wireless network and securing it with WPA2, PSK security, test configuration, connect your laptop. So let's go through and do that. First step, they're going to say wait until everything's been going, and you can see here this has been on for 12 minutes now, so everything is converged. We're good, no issues there. We could have skipped forward to do it. So now we're going to go to the desktop of the admin PC right here, and I'm just going to make it bigger because we're going to want to see more stuff. And it says open up the web browser, open a web browser, yeah, and enter the management IP address, and we also need to have HTTPS in front of it. HTTPS, and it's 192.168. Let's scroll up and see. WLC is 200.254. 254. And if we go there, we get a login page. So this is our login to the Cisco wireless LAN controller. We log in. They tell us it's admin and Cisco 123. Admin Cisco 123. And if I typed it right and everything's working, we're in. So now that we're in, scroll through the monitor, and they say here packet tracer does not support the initial dashboard, so you won't see, this isn't going to look exactly like working with real hardware. Ultimately, if you had the real hardware to do this, you would be playing with this in a test environment before you actually deployed it. But this is the test environment we have. This is what we can use. So scroll through the monitor screen. What can be learned from the screen? And you can see everything that's in here. If you want to see any more details, definitely go through and take a look at this packet tracer. But we have our management IP address, software version, uptime, and system time. All of this information is there. And it's going to say, is the WLC connected to an AP? And it's showing that yes, we're connected to one AP here. Click on the detail next to all AP's entry, and we click on that, and eventually we will get something. And there we go. We have our LAP1. So, and from here we can get more information. I click on. We can't do that in packet tracer. So now we're going to go on to part 2, and we're going to create our wireless LAN. So click on the WLANs here. This is a little slower, obviously, than the command line. So what we want to do is, hardest part of this is keeping track of where you are and what you're doing. Locate the drop-down box, upper right corner, create new, and go. And profile name, we want use profile name floor 2 employees. Floor 2 employees. Assign an SSID of SSID-5. SSID-5, and they say select the ID for the WLAN and select a value of 5 to keep it consistent. So we're going to go with 5. Now remember, we're not in a command line environment. We are in a graphical environment. In this web browser, most of the time you have to click apply to send things through. So just be aware of that and be ready to do that. So I clicked apply, and so settings go into effect. Now that the WLAN has been created, configure features of the network. Click enabled to make the WLAN functional. It is a common mistake to accidentally skip this step. So there you go. Choose VLAN interface that will be used for this WLAN. There we go, WLAN 5. Select WLAN 5 interface. The interface was previously configured on the WLC, so this was done for us in advance. And now we're going to click on the Advanced tab and scroll down to the Flex Connect portion of the page. There we go. Click to enable Flex Connect local switching and Flex Connect local authentication. Click apply and we're done with step 1. So the new WLAN has no security in place. The WLAN will initially use WPA2 PSK security. In another activity, you'll configure the WLAN to use WPA2 Enterprise, and that's a different packet tracer. So WPA2 PSK pre-shared key. We're going to be putting a key in here, a password that then anyone who's accessing from a device will need to do. So in the WLANs edit screen for floor 2 employees, click on the security tab, and under layer 2 select WPA plus WPA2, and this reveals these parameters, and click on the checkbox next to WPA2 policy, and I just want to match up exactly what they're asking. Additional settings under authentication key management, enter PSK enable PSK. Now you can enter a pre-shared key that will be used by host to join the WLAN. Now if you're working at home, a lot of these settings are not going to be there, but everything we're doing in this will be there. It's just that you won't have other options available. Cisco 123, and then we can apply those settings. Let's go to the top, apply. Now this is one of the things I mentioned earlier. When you're playing around with your router and you enable certain things, things will become momentarily disabled, may result in lost connectivity. So obviously not a problem here. You're doing this at home, just be aware that you might cause someone who's watching YouTube to lose their connection momentarily. So just be aware. So we have, let's see, hey, we're up to 55%. After applying the configuration, click back. We'll take you to WLAN's screen. Back. Now we have WLAN screen, we have the wireless LAN ID, profile name, SSID, and if we go over, we can see enabled and security policies, and we could remove it also. And if we click on the ID, it'll take us to the edit screen. We could go in and verify stuff. So now let's see if it's actually working. Connect a host to the WLAN. I'm going to close this and go to the desktop on wireless hosts, and desktop, click on the PC wireless tile. Okay, and click on the Connect tab, and after a brief delay you should see the SSID for the WLAN appear at the top of appear in the table of the wireless network names. So we should see SSID 5. We're going to probably connect to that. Select SSID 5, select connect, and we are using WPA2 personal, and it was Cisco 123 right there. Enter the pre-shared key, select connect. Click the link information tab. Select successfully connected to the access point. And our completion just jumped up to 100%. You should, in the link information tab, you should see a message. We see that message. click more information to see more information about the connection, and we can see information about the connection mode. We can see default gateway. We can see what IP address it gave us. All of this information is here. It tells us everything. And now if we go, let's see if I close this and go to a command prompt, I should be able to, they want me to ping my gateway, which is 192.168.5.1. And we are getting a reply. So this is going over wireless. It is going over this signal right here to the access point, and then going up to our gateway from there. So that is that. It is as simple as that. There are some bugs, being that this is packet tracer, where sometimes things don't work the way we expect. Just be aware of that when you're working with any of these. But definitely make sure you understand the concepts. Make sure that you can do this in your home network, and also be aware of disabling access for everyone in the house. So that is just one of those considerations. Sometimes it's best to do this at night when people aren't using it, or if you wake up before everyone, that's the time as well. It's kind of like being in the real world, where you have to have outage windows just to let people know when you might be making their internet stop working. It is such an expected thing that when it doesn't work, people get upset. So that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.